Hey everyone, it's Caleb, aka Ginger Jesus. So, this was something that I teased in the first Airsoft video I put out regarding 3 Rivers Paintball Park. I don't know how long ago I posted that was, but I decided the intro of that. And I just wanted to briefly talk about my thoughts and opinions and a field review of the day that we had there at 3 Rivers, and kind of like analyze the park a little bit. Just to kick things off immediately, I have been to 3 Rivers Paintball Park before, many years ago. It's among the first videos that I ever posted on this channel. I took my wife there. It was her first time ever playing Airsoft, and it was the last time, as of time of recording, that she's played. And we had a great time. I talk about it a lot, but my gun battery wasn't working. Not the battery, but the MOSFET, which regulates electrical currents to the gun. It didn't work, so my gun was like down for a lot of the day, and she only played for like I think 1 or 2 rounds anyway. So it was kind of like a weird day where like we were playing, but then we weren't playing because of gun issues and other factors. Anyway, so this most recent time, I just had thought to go. I don't work on Sundays anymore, and so I thought, hey, this would probably be a good opportunity to go back to 3 Rivers, experience it. They had a Battlefield 6 event, quote unquote, that they pushed a lot of marketing around for, and a lot of my airsoft buddies came down from Erie and took like the almost 2-hour drive to come play, and I'm really thankful to them for that. It was a good environment. We had a lot of laughs, a lot of fun times, a lot of good communication and team building as well. So I just want to say I had a really great time. I think it is one of the best days of airsoft I've had legitimately in a couple years. And I don't play often, as you see on the channel. I don't post videos every week. There's big gaps of time in between me posting just because I don't play that much. The time, the money, the resources just aren't there for me to consistently go to Airsoft as like my primary fun thing. I have too many hobbies. If you see on the side here, I have like painting supplies. I'm a hobby painter. I play video games. I watch TV. I'm also like a husband and father. Like there's so many times that I think to myself, I cannot spend time doing X hobby because of Y responsibility, or Y or Z other hobby. So yeah, I'm not playing every weekend. I'm not playing every month, but I still try to keep my foot in the door when it comes to the airsoft hobby. So when I say that this previous time at 3 Rivers Paintball for the Airsoft event was one of the most fun days I've had, I truly mean that. And I don't have a wide catalog of stuff over the last 5+ years or so to compare that to, but there have been a lot of other fun events and fun days, and I don't think I've ever had like a truly terrible day of Airsoft. Probably ever. I mean, there have been some low points for sure, but I can't say that I've regretted a day where I wish I did not go out that day, where things went south for me, that just discolored my whole experience. I can't say that. So I like the layout of the field. If you've seen the videos now of the field, it's woods ball, so it's rolling hills, a lot of leaves and trees and roots, and they've done a really great job of building up the empty space with barricades and cover and buildings and tents and vehicles. Oh, there's like buses and crashed planes, like a legit plane basically. A missile cart where it's if someone the old school 40-50 years ago, there's like a big semi truck that the tarp lifts off the back, boom, and there's like surface to air missiles in the back there. They have one of those just like plop down in the field, which is really cool, really for dramatic effect. I had to switch recording software devices because the storage on my phone ran out, so my recording was just like stopped. Anyway, so they built up the empty space in on the field very, very well. Lots of different key points of interest that you could travel to kind of make your assault or to make your push or to defend XYZ. So I really enjoyed the vibes of the place a lot. And so for the actual field itself, and I'll get more into this when I talk about like the game modes and kind of like the layout of the overall branching narrative that the field had. But I think that it lent itself pretty well to describing where objectives were, call outs you could make to your team members to tell them exactly where an enemy is or where an objective is based and how to get there. So in that circumstance, I rate the field, the physical setup, 9.5 out of 10. Superb in that sense, and that kind of transitions nicely to the game modes. So they marketed the whole day around Battlefield 6. It was supposed to be a Battlefield 6 inspired event. You had each I can't remember the team names for the life of me, but each team, the two teams, had like the name from the game Battlefield 6. And Battlefield 6 is based off of real life anyway, so they were just kind of like, your objective is to destroy the nuclear reactor at this site, and your secondary objective is to decode this secret message to pass along an encrypted message to your allies so they can begin bombardment of the naval base. Generic mumbo jumbo stuff. So creativity was like really low. They were really scraping the barrel on this one when it came to like narrative storytelling. Also, this is a paintball park, so they don't run year round for their events, but there's a good like 7-8 months out of the year when they're doing stuff. They only host one airsoft event per month, and it's always the last Sunday of the month, so it's very limited. The staff members are all paintball people, so they know paintball etiquette front to back. They know how to rent equipment, to recommend different stuff to paintball players. When it comes to airsoft, there is definitely a lack of experience, and number one, I believe that comes with age. A lot of the staff members were between 19 and like 22 years old, very young. Number two, like I said, they just don't have the experience with airsoft to be knowledgeable about it, as opposed to like an airsoft only park like Mercer or Amped. Those fields. That's airsoft is like the only thing those fields do. So of course they're going to be experts in safety, gameplay, recommendations, the store, all that kind of stuff. So you kind of have these kids kind of thrown into like this weekend where they have like a cue card basically that they read off like a pre-written script of what the objectives are and the reason why we're accomplishing these objectives, like blow up these enemy missiles or relay a message to your ally through this puzzle that you have to solve. So very low score, like 3 out of 10, just abysmal quality, super generic. I'm sure some of their other events are like a little higher, like you're going to be more invested in them. They had a Halo event a little bit ago, although I had the sinking suspicion that it was just more of the generic stuff, like blow up the Covenant base or destroy the Marines supply depot. Like they just swap names in and out for like the same objectives. There's no there's no narrative reason for why you do stuff. Even after each round, your team can score a certain amount of points depending on what objectives you complete. So, and at the end of the day, kind of like the team with the most points, or at the end of the day, wins. So I guess like there is kind of a narrative, but very lazy, very hastily done. The staff members don't know anything. They're just making a paycheck. They don't have the knowledge, like I said, or expertise to deal with airsoft related stuff. So yeah, like 3.5 out of 10 for the actual storyline and how the games felt. Now, I will say that the games themselves operated very well. Things were pretty balanced. The team I was on, we crushed every game, even though, spoiler alert, the day ended up in a tie for both teams. I have no idea how that happened because we completely crushed every main objective during all of the rounds. So I have no idea what happened. Anywho's, so on the field, the vibes were good. The objectives were good. If you were having trouble dealing with the primary objective for that round, you could always back up and do the secondary objective, or make a flanking maneuver, or make another choice so that you could accomplish a goal. There was always opportunity for that, and I want to say there was like between 60 and 90 players there, I guess. So it wasn't like a crowded field. Also, this is a bigger field compared to most. Mercer is way bigger, but also Mercer cannot handle, over, I think it's 80 players or something like that, because it all gets bottlenecked in a couple key areas. At this field, you kind of always have like what's it called? A line of engagement, like the arbitrary battle line that shifts depending on what part of the field you're on, and if you make a push on a certain side, you gain more ground on that angle. Whatever that thing is called, it was more fluid, as opposed to Mercer, which is kind of like there's a line, and when there's a massive amount of people, the line just never gets crossed. Or the line breaks, and then your entire force gets pushed back, and there's no way you can flank, because that's just how the field works. Anywho, I'm rambling. So the field lended itself well to these kind of objectives, or multiple objectives per game, I should say. So that also speaks very highly of the field itself physically, of how dynamic it is, how many different styles of engagement that you can have depending on what part of the field you're on. There's like small buildings, larger villages, just plain old cover. There's just environment sometimes. Sometimes it's just a hill. It's just a hill with trees on it, and that's what you have to figure out. How do I get through this, or how do I defend this? So every place on the map has a very unique and special characteristic to it, whether you're attacking or defending. But we already talked about the physical field stuff. So the staff members, they are also not entirely knowledgeable about safety type stuff. I will just say right off the bat that Airsoft and paintball will sometimes have more than a small number of children between the ages of 7 and 14 years old, let's say, where they're interested in the sport because it's toy guns. What person in America doesn't like shooting off Nerf guns or cap guns, or just literally holding their hand in the shape of a gun and pretending they're a cowboy or something, So I feel like it is kind of a natural inclination to be like, oh, there's a hobby where you just shoot toy guns at each other, and it's kind of like a video game. It's kind of like a real life feel. Like you yourself are inside a situation where it's not just like a video game where, yeah, you are playing, you are controlling a character, but like this is you. Like this is your physical person doing this thing. So there's a lot of kids there. There's people smoking WEED. Sorry, YouTube, I had to say it. Smoking huge doinks on not only in the staging area, but on the field with the whole team around them. They're just puffing away. I'm like, this is crazy. One, that you would be so despicable of a human being to even bring that to a public place and just spread it amongst everyone. Secondarily, well, primarily, there's kids around. You don't do it around kids. And so I told a ref, I'm like, just so you know, there's a guy smoking. It's that guy right there in XYZ outfit. And just want to let you know. And the staff member's like, he pauses. He's like, I don't know how to deal with this. And in my mind, I'm like, you kick him off the field. This is not only probably against your field's policies, but it's probably also illegal to be doing amongst children. And he's like, I don't know how to deal with this. And I said, okay, I am just a messenger. I am letting you know. And the staff member did nothing about it. Once again, goes to show that the age and experience of the staff of this place is very low. And that's not necessarily a judgment on their character, but possibly on their training and how they are equipped to deal with tough situations. If there was a fight, I don't know how they would react. They didn't react or do anything in regards to something so minor as being like, hey, can you put that out? We're on the field, or, don't do that right now. There's kids around. You could just have a simple conversation and have them like not do it anymore. But he just chose not to engage at all. So that's a very bad look in my book. So safety, number one, don't be smoking around kids. Number two, as a staff member, you should be well aware of your field's policies regarding smoking alcoholic, non-tobacco products in a public setting, especially around children. And safety was not really a thing. They kind of give you the safety overview of saying every replica has to have a barrel cover. No, it cannot be a sock. No, it cannot be a piece of cardboard. It has to be a dedicated airsoft sock that goes over the barrel of your replica so that BB doesn't accidentally fly out and hit someone in the face in the staging area where nobody's wearing a mask. Number two, all of your magazines should be out of your replicas, because that also feeds BBs into the gun, where if your gun is not on safety and you pull the trigger, a BB might fly out. If you have a barrel cover, yes, the barrel cover will stop the BB, but also for whatever reason, the barrel cover falls off and your magazine is in and you accidentally put your finger on the trigger, a BB is going to fly out. So let's avoid that by not having any magazines in the gun. Great. That's a 10 out of 10 safety speech. That is the minimum for any field that is going to be doing airsoft. Not enforced. Literally during this safety talk at the beginning of the day, and also at various points during team briefings or whatever, probably about 30 to 40% of the players total on both teams either had their magazines in, no barrel cover, or both. And it was, as far as I could tell and I could see, nothing was addressed, nothing was talked to, and some of them were little kids where as a kid, you're not going to have trigger discipline. Your hand's going to be on the gun, your finger's going to be around the trigger constantly. They're for sure going to forget that it's on at some point. So yeah, there is a very high likelihood that these kids are going to pull the trigger, and then they're going to be like looking at it like, look at the face like, ha ha, look at me, and making like a dumb thing as kids do, like, oh, put it up to my head, ha ha, look, it's on my head, what if I pull the trigger right now? And then boom, with or without goggles, it's a bad time. So the safety talk was given, not enforced at all. And this is also like in the staging area where everybody has their goggles off. There's also no demarcation line saying past this point you have to have goggles on, except for the firing range where they kind of like chronograph your gun to make sure you're under a certain speed limit. They had a sign there saying, goggles past this point, barrel covers on, kind of thing. But in terms of from the staging area into the field, as your team walks onto the field, there's no line that says, hey, goggles on past this point at all times, barrel covers on at this point at all times. It was just kind of like both areas blended together. So people were taking off their socks and their goggles in the middle of the staging. Putting on their words. How do they work? They're putting their goggles on after you are in the field and taking their barrel covers off while still in the staging area, if that makes sense. The places that you should be doing these safety procedures were flip-flopped. So if that makes sense, I'm not sure. So again, and never addressed, never talked about. Everybody did it except for like you could tell who the experienced airsoft people were because we were following all the safety guidelines at all times. And even though there was no explicit direction of when to do these safety things, such as taking the barrel cover off and putting on your goggles, you could definitely tell that there was a point in which past this point you have to be following XYZ safety thing. But nobody did it. So safety, 3 out of 10. It would be a flat 0 if the safety procedures were not more clearly defined. And it is that low because nothing is enforced and people just do whatever they want, regardless of what they were told. So unfortunately, communication is not entirely the best at this place, nor is enforcement, which can and will create a safety issue if something bad does happen, unfortunately. I guess I could talk about pricing and the availability of hobby stuff. So it costs $25 for the day, and I say day very loosely because their safety briefing is at 11:30 a.m. and the first game starts around 12 o'clock, 12:15 p.m. So you're only getting about nope, probably between 3.5 to 4.5 hours of gameplay time per day for $25, which is not the best value for airsoft related stuff. At other fields such as Mercer, it's like $15 for the whole day, and safety briefing is at 9:30, and kickoff is probably 10 or 10:30, and they go until 5 or 5:30 in the afternoon. So a couple more hours for sure. So in terms of value, you kind of you have to make it worth it in your own mind. I think for me, I think that $25 price tag for the time that you get is worth it. I really enjoy the style of gameplay that they have there, as well as the field, where I think that higher price tag is worth it to me. And like I said, I had a great time there. A lot of great game modes that I worked together with my team and my friends to complete, to capture the objectives. And so I think that that money value is worth it. Now, I will say about timing stuff, they only give you like 5 minutes in between game modes to restock and kind of like rearm yourself. So, like, basically every single time we'd get back to the staging area, I would take off like my helmet, my goggles, and everything, and kind of like let myself like air out basically because I'm all sweaty. And I start like reloading my mags and everything like that. And I'm not even like done reloading my mags, and they're like, "Oh, mission briefing time!" And then there's like a circle, rounded up, 50 feet away, going over the objectives, like literally the point of the round they're talking about. And I'm like, I'm still reloading. Like they don't give you any time to breathe, to drink water, to do anything to replenish your supplies. They're just kind of like, "Oh, okay, yeah, people finally started walking back to the tents. Okay, mission briefing time." And it's like, what are we doing? Why aren't we giving people a break? Because if you don't give people a decent enough break, they're not going to play the next round. And that definitely happened. You could see the amount of team members rise and fall throughout the day of people that were just like, "I need to take a break. Man, I pushed myself really hard that time, and I can't get back right into it. I have to take a breather for a little bit." And I don't want to go back in halfway through the game, because then there's only 15, 20 minutes left in the game, and I'm not going to be able to do anything. So I'm just going to sit down to the next round and catch my breath. So would you rather the experience of someone who paid $25 do that, or would you rather give them just a little bit more time? Like, let's say 10-ish minutes. Let's push it a little higher, like 10 to 13 minutes of breathing room so you can quickly eat something, drink some water, refill your BBs, talk with your friends about the game that you just played to reflect on what you did. But no, it's like 5 minutes, boom, back in the game. It's like, what are we doing? And so the downside of that is the majority of each team just didn't know what the objectives were for the next game. We had to wait until we got on the field, surrounded by our whole team, and we either ask our team representative, like a referee or a staff member of some kind, or our fellow players who were around the safety meet, not the safety meeting, but the objective meeting, be like, "What the heck are we doing right now?" And then sometimes people are half listening anyway, so they're like, "Oh yeah, there's like some place we gotta get to, and there's like a bomb or something, and like we have to do something with the bomb, but I'm not sure, and I don't know, I have no idea what the secondary objective is." And it's like, "Oh, cool, thanks." So basically it's team deathmatch if you don't ask questions and know what's going on. So cool, awesome, cool beans. Or you can talk to a staff member and they'll tell you, but a lot of times you can't because they're in conversation with people. So once again, the communication not really there. I don't know. I guess the price, like I said, the price might be worth it to you, and also depending on where you're coming from. Like my friends drove almost 2 hours to go there, and like there's with the price of gas these days, it's such a crazy drive, and how much time you have to take out of your day to simply travel there to even get there. It's like 4 hours round trip. That's crazy. That's a big part of your day. If it was someone like me, I would not be able to justify that. I would have to leave at like 7 or 8 in the morning, and I'd be home at 8 p.m. sometimes. Like, like I'm not. What am I doing? I'm spending literally the entire day there, over 12 hours at this field. If I choose to stay the whole time and get my money's worth, I don't know if I can justify that. Just me personally. Some people, like my friends, they were like, "Hey, yeah, it's less than 2 hours. I'll take the drive down there, and $25. Yeah, that's worth it. Yeah, let's go shoot some BBs at people. Cool. More power to you. I'm very grateful for my friends that decided to come down and were available, and we all had a good time. It was great. Um, we communicated a lot and built each other up as a team. So yeah, yeah. I think overall score with I keep saying this. I keep saying this for as much of a fun time as I had, and how much I love how the field feels. On a personal level with how I can perceive threats on the map, and either make a move myself or communicate to my teammates to do something to get an advantage. As much as I love how there's those opportunities on the field, it was just rough. It was real rough. I have to give 3 Rivers paintball an overall score of 6 out of 10. It's not a conducive environment for fostering the hobby. For new players coming in, this is not a great place to teach them helpful safety or gameplay skills. I'll say that. Amped Airsoft is like a really big airsoft retailer. They have a store in Pittsburgh. And so at every one of these events, they have a trailer that comes, and they have their own staff members come, and they engage in the game. Maybe they're a referee in the game, or even players, to kind of like advertise the field and to advertise their own products. And they have a trailer there that has like supplies and guns and BBs and all this other like really cool stuff. So I'm really happy that they show up. But in spite of being a really big airsoft retailer, they don't have a hand in the management of 3 Rivers Paintball Park. So the responsibility is on the owners of the field and the staff members to do a good job. And for as much of they put emphasis on gameplay. However, it's not there in terms of narrative for their events, nor training for their staff members, or safety, or cultivating a community. And unfortunately, I think at this field, it's up to us, the people that have been in it for a while, where we know the rights and wrongs of what to do, to help people be more confident in themselves, to expand their knowledge and comfortability in the airsoft community, in terms of tactics, gear, safety choices. It's up to us. And it is our responsibility at every airsoft field to call out when something is wrong and have a hand in fixing it. It's our responsibility to keep others safe and to foster a welcoming community where we're just there to have fun. There are times and places to be serious about airsoft in terms of training, or maybe it's a milsim where, yeah, it is pretty hardcore. You spend hundreds of dollars to go there, as well as travel and lodging and your gear to be there. It's definitely a more serious environment than the local weekend skirmish, for sure. And this is getting a little like soapbox kind of speech kind of thing, but we have to do better. We have to help the kids, which are just now coming into the airsoft hobby, to be knowledgeable and not make stupid decisions that are going to hurt themselves and others if they're not safe. So that's on us. And there was, I'll just talk about this really briefly, and then I'll close it out. There was a specific example I'm thinking of where there was a older fella, I'm not going to say boomer, but somewhere between me and middle-aged, where he would get shot. He'd call himself out. Great. It's the bare minimum. And then immediately after being shot and turning around and going back to his spawn, he would call out locations of the enemy, how many there were in a certain area, and where he got shot from. It's pretty standard to not say anything if you're dead. It's a sportsmanship thing. Dead men don't talk. If you get hit, You cannot communicate locations of enemies or anything else, or even give people directives on your team if you're dead, because you're dead. If you truly need to communicate something, you should have done it when you were alive. You should have been calling out enemy positions as you were taking fire, rather than after you get hit. So he's just blatantly giving away bunches of enemy positions. And the advantage to doing this kind of unsportsmanlike thing is you can make a really aggressive push. You can sprint into an area where maybe you don't have the best visibility. You run into an area, you get lit up, you get shot, and then you see everybody that shot you that were currently hidden from your sight before. You walk back the way you came and say, guys, I got good recon of where they're at. There's like 7 or 8 people behind this exact cover. If you do XYZ, you can get them. Sir, you're dead. Go respawn, walk back to us, and hopefully all the people that can accomplish your mission are still there. Then you can tell them, because you're alive now. It's not like real world where you get shot and you die and obviously your mind turns off. Or, in a video... What's going on? Or you're in a video game where you can just, it's a video game. It's very different. But it's a faux pas in sportsmanship to dead men don't talk kind of thing. And I called him out immediately. I'm like, hey, dead men don't talk. He didn't say anything. Kept walking back to spawn. Later on in that game, I think I ran into one of his buddies or something. This guy I was currently talking to and the dead man talking guy knew each other in some way. Maybe they're on the same team, maybe not. I don't know. But they were in communication. So I was walking back with this current guy, and I said, hey, next time you see your friend, can you just tell him not to call out enemy positions or say anything when he's dead? It's kind of it ruins the fun. It's like really bad sportsmanship to talk when you're dead. And instead of being like, oh yeah, next time I see him, I'll let him know. He just, the adrenaline gets to you, and he tends to talk more, more than he would before. So yeah, I'll talk to him and make sure he doesn't. That would be the proper response. Instead, this friend said, well, there's no specific rule at this field that says you're not supposed to do that, so he doesn't have to. And immediately I knew that all of these garbanzo beans were in the same bag. They did not care about sportsmanship. They only cared about having a leg up and doing what they wanted to do. There was no accountability within that group to help each other learn or to do better in a circumstance. They said, if it's not in the rules, you can do it. Well, there's a whole bunch of things in the rules that probably are omitted because it's a paintball field, not an airsoft field, that if you really wanted to find a loophole, you could probably do so. And that's really scary. That is really scary for keeping players playing. If you're being either a douchebag or a rules lawyer and just twisting anything to your advantage, it's really scummy, and I really don't like that. So that's something that we need to avoid doing as airsoft players, is being like, well, the written letter of the law is like this, so therefore I'm going to do this scummy thing because nobody specifically told me to. It's like, are we 5 years old where if something isn't directly communicated to you, you're just not going to do it, or you are going to do it, whatever it is? No, you be sportsmanlike, lift each other up, try to make the game a better place, make all the players better. Would you like it if the enemy team did that? If they made a rush to a position that you fought really hard to get and maintain, and someone just came in and was like, guys, they're all over here. Yeah, there's 6 guys. Just chuck a grenade right here, man. Would you like that if the enemy team did that to you? Probably not. You'd probably be pretty pissed off if you made all this hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, and you dying and your buddies dying to get to that point, and then someone just be like, yeah, they're here, guys. Absolutely not. So, God, don't do that in the future, please. So, yeah, like I said, very middling score in terms of an overall field. You kind of have to take the bad with the good on this one if you choose to come to 3Rivers Paintball. And that really saddens me to say, because if there was more support For the airsoft community, where the safety standards were enforced, there's better communication and a little bit better game design, this would be an all-time field. And regardless of how much fun I had during the day, there's always going to be the drawbacks. So, yeah. There will be a brief follow-up video to this where I'm trying to get the opinions of my friends who went, what they thought about the field during the day, and I'm sure it's not going to be as long-winded as me. It's over 30, 40 minutes at this point. But getting to hear what they say and see their own viewpoints in a condensed way, I think is also very valuable, because they might have different opinions than me about what happened, or maybe not. I'm not sure. But yeah, you'll hear from them pretty soon. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching and or listening. I really appreciate it. Let's keep growing the airsoft community together. Let's keep getting out there. And whether you're playing every week or every month or every couple of months, let's keep getting at it. Let's keep slinging the BBs, blasto, and keep having a fun time. It's all about fun. It's not about winning or losing or being serious. It's just about, did you have a good time? Did you help make a good time for the people around you? And to me, that's what matters the most. All right, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Deuces.